Morning, everyone. Welcome to the breakfast.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thanks, Gura. Morning.
Naskura. Nazut.
Morning, Mike. Morning,
Morning,
Madam
Charles.
President.
Morning, everyone. Good
I've
morning.
only seen you in email exchange. I'm Mike Bull.
Oh, Mike.
Yeah,
Morning, Mike.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, now you know.
No, I wish I
Are
was
we
there.
doing questions first this time?
No.
I wish I was there.
Charles will have me just be struck off.
No, we don't do that. It will be the first time.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I wish I was there. I was actually there yesterday. If I would not have a meeting this round about 10-ish, I would be there in KZN. Yeah, just to share the moment with you. But then, yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Well, colleagues, we will start. So I'll just introduce Charles and then hand over the platform to him. So Charles Nduku is a practicing architect and owner, director of NN Architects, which was established in 2003. He hails from Umbu in the Eastern Cape. He matriculated at UCT with Bachelor of Architecture degree in 1999 and then Masters in Urban Design. He holds and has held various leadership positions in the profession, including being a convener in the SAIA board for Habitat, president of SAIA Borakai region, Eastern Cape Subtaco president, fifth term council SAICAP president, and the current sixth term president, and also a board member of the Council for the Built Environment. Mr. Nduku, over to you, sir.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Mtembu. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. Are you going to share on your side the slide?
You have access to share, Charles.
Okay. All right. Let me end the slideshow and look for the Zoom and then try and all right, the share. Okay. Where is the slideshow now? Share. Can you see my?
Yeah, yes, we can, Charles. You could
Okay.
just make it full screen. Yeah, perfect.
Yes, I am. Yes. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, everyone. I know most of the people that are here, and probably some do know me. My name is Charles. My first name is Nduku. As Kura have said, have mentioned the fact that I was born in Umbu. Umbu is about 56 kilometers away from Umtata towards Durban. And I actually grew up in the rural areas. I only left rural areas of Umbu in Mdeni village after I matriculated. That was years ago. So what inspired me to join architecture or to be an architect was my father. My father was a self-taught land surveyor who was a grader operator in the rural areas of Transkei, of Kumbu. Then he studied with correspondence, international correspondence school. He did leveling and mapping, and then that's how he got involved in the built environment space. And then he worked for Greenacre, LTA in Durban. I don't know if it was still LTA at that time, but I know that it was Greenacre at that time. So he was very much involved in most of those roads, like between Shepstone and Durban. And as a result, in the village, whoever wanted to go to Durban, so they would come to him to ask him to actually drive them, assist them to drive to Durban. So that's how he knew the place, and he actually stayed there in Durban. So because of that exposure on that side, when he came back during holidays, then he would start producing drawings. He wanted to build his homestead, our home. He designed those buildings himself. So he actually built them, and we were involved in the building of those houses at home ourselves. And we know how to mix, to go about mortar mix, sand, cement, how you should mix it before you pour the water. So that's where we started. I think it was through my father. And then, yeah, you mentioned the word architect or architecture. I think I would like you to do architecture, at UCT at that time. And that's what he mentioned. Said, okay, what is architecture? He said, no, when you are an architect, you design buildings and draw plans. I think he was not that really sophisticated to say you design buildings. He said you draw plans and then look at what I've done here. This is what you'll be doing. And I sort of liked it because I was not that bad in drawings. So, I mean, even at high school, I like in the biology, those that can remember, the biology had a subject had a tracing paper. I mean, a drawing book with a tracing paper where you would trace Chlamydomonas, all those plants and drawings which were on the biology. And then what I would do, I would not trace, I would look at the book and then draw. And that actually got me into trouble with my biology teacher to say, why is your tracing paper clean? Other tracing papers are not clean. This tracing paper is for you to trace. And I said, no, I can draw. I want to look at it and draw it as is. So that's where I started. So then I moved on. So I think my teacher did not understand, what I was trying to achieve at that time, or the ability that I had, of drawing. But yeah, then when my father would come from work, and then he would sit amongst ourselves and say, there was a magazine, Bona magazine. It was called Bona magazine in those days. So I remember the first time he challenged us, there was a Billy Ocean's picture in the magazine, and then he challenged us to say, I want to see who will be able to draw Billy Ocean's more than any of us, or you will produce the best drawing. And then that's how we started. I mean, with we are 9 at home, and we are not bad when it comes to drawing because of that kind of a challenge. And then it became our, how can I say, love to actually sit and draw all the time. So yeah, so we're not, but that's how I got involved. And then through him as well, he encouraged me to study at UCT. But yeah, I went to, after my matric, I went to Pentech, Peninsula Technicon. I could not go straight to UCT because I did not get good marks, of my matric. Then I went to do the diploma. I finished my diploma at CPUT. Now it's called CPUT. It used to be Peninsula Technicon. I think, I finished it, the diploma. And then after I finished it, then I went to UCT to apply for I think I worked for a year or two. Then I went to UCT to apply for a degree in architecture, and then they accepted me, but I had to start from first year. So I did well. I was only credited with the fourth year because of the work experience that I had, and then the diploma that I possessed. So from the BAS, I went straight to BH. So that is the only year that was I was credited with. And then fortunately for those who came after me, who joined the school of architecture behind me, and then some of them started in the third year. So I missed out on that. But anyway, I don't regret, because I think I learned a lot from starting from the first year till now. So yeah, I graduated in 1999, then worked for Osmond Lang. Yeah, I had already started working for Osmond Lang during the holiday in Amtata, and then Osmond Lang closed the office and then moved to East London. There was also East London office, and then the staff moved to East London. Yeah, after I finished my degree, then I went to Osmond Lang to work. I worked for 2 years. Then in my third year, I established my company called NN Architects. Yeah, it was very tough. I started with doing site plans for clinics in Eastern Cape, you know. So this clinics were standard drawings. So the only thing we were doing was just doing site plans, positioning the buildings, and then we invoice, and then probably would be appointed for 5 schools, clinics, and that helped me to sort of navigate that space in the first year of my practice, and it is also the year that I got married, and then I think towards the end of the year, I got a decent job in Amtata. It was a renovation of existing building through Public Works. Yeah, so at least that one, you know, I saw the fees for the first time that were a little bit substantial, and then I invited a colleague of mine. We were working together at Osmond Lang Monday. He had left. Then I said, "Hey, can you come and assist me here? Otherwise, I won't be able to do this thing alone." But you know, that was the first year of my practice, and then most of the time I was just designing. We were just designing and documenting. So I think it's sites. We started going to sites, handing over the projects at the end of the year. So I had the whole year just to prepare myself for that, and then when the following year started, then I started implementing some of those projects. So that's when I started. That was 2002, and then I started then till now. So we are here now. You know, like I want to thank Skora for inviting me, because I never looked back, and I've never cared to look at what I've done in the past, and I've always very critical of myself. So when I look back now that Skora actually encouraged me to do this or invited me, then I started looking back. Where did I start? And I said, no, I've been busy in the rural areas of Transkei most of the time. Former Transkei and former Ciskei, you know, with what I would call social infrastructure, because schools, we are doing schools most of the time. Yeah, there's very little private work. Yeah, most of this province relies on the government work. So we were doing schools, clinics, you know, the community centers, and all the infrastructure that is actually delivered in the rural areas, actually in the villages. So That's why when I look at it, when I looked at what I did and said, okay, this is like social infrastructure. But when I noticed where we've built the schools or the community centers or whatever, this social infrastructure, buildings, the area started becoming live and things started growing around that place. So I'm going to start with my Mzimkhulu Gateway. So I worked all over the place. I was still young, energetic, wake up in the morning from East London, drive all the way to Popo, drive all the way to Mzimkhulu. So this is the gateway, Mzimkhulu Gateway. Yeah, this used to be the border control between South Africa and Transkei. So this building, after the democracy, I think most of these buildings became empty, and then it was actually handed over to Alfred Nzo District Municipality. And then the municipality did not have anything to do with the building. They didn't know what to do, and then they invited us and then asked us to sort of advise what can be done, but they want to make it work, and they think that they need to build something new so that to trigger the interest of the people in the area, and also to let the people use the building. So that this is the existing building, and you probably are familiar with these buildings, because I think at the start of the former Transkei, there's this building in Mzimkhulu. At the end of this, there's also there was one in Kai River. In Kai River, yeah, I have not seen in another building, but it was not a bad building, but it was a concrete roof building with clerestory windows. Yeah, it was decently built. So this is Mzimkhulu. This is where the site is. There's a big river there as you enter Mzimkhulu from Popo side. So the site is actually there, the building. And the yellow line is actually the main road of Mzimkhulu. Yeah, I think this town is under a floodplain, because whenever it's raining there, there's always a problem. I remember if it rains, when I attended the site, there would be problems, difficult to navigate, because I think the only street that was tarred at that moment, it was probably, I think, the main road and the one adjacent to it on the right side. I actually got involved in the Mzimkhulu campus. This was the teacher training college. I think it was done by Osman Lang. While I was a student, I used to visit at the site, and those days they used to hire helicopters, and then I actually was on the helicopter for the first time, scared all the way from Mthatha to Mzimkhulu. But yeah, I got used after that. I think we've done about 2 little buildings in this area. And then, yeah, so if I can move on. Yeah, as I said, this is the road, this is the building on the right, the road, and you can see the JIC advert was just plugged in front of that building, as if somebody knew that this building does not have to be seen, because it used to control the movement of the people from Transkei to South Africa. And then that is the bridge, and you're going all the way, to the direction of Durban. So this is the site. So that red building is the existing one, and then the blue one is where the site was. It was very narrow site, and you've got a river there, and then it's only a strip flat land, and then it steps down towards the river. And then it had very nice views, though the river was not the cleanest. The water was always brown, but it had a very nice view. And so they wanted, you know, they were very concerned about the people or the communities that can be actually given a space like craft stalls, you know, to do crafts themselves. So it was a popular, how can I say, idea to come up with buildings like that, and then basically that was the building that I had to produce. It was like a craft store with a restaurant, admin office, and ablutions. So this is the building. This is the existing, the gray one. This is the building that I actually proposed. You know, following the curvature of the side, because my concept, I always enjoy understanding the movement, you know, of the people. So I always structure all my concept along the movement, and it's easy to create spaces around either on the left or on the right, you know, if you acknowledge or understand the movement of the people on site. So yeah, at that moment, I don't know, I was fascinated by caves, you know, curvilinear buildings. I don't know whether it was still the rural in me, but which later I actually am not very comfortable to use caves, because caves are very difficult to deal with. You must just make sure where they meet, you know what you're doing. So the round structure, little one on the left here, is the admin office, and then the first one there is where the restaurant is, and then the cavelina, that is a deck, a nice deck. If you look at the 3D at the bottom, that is that structure actually. But the building itself, it's a rectilinear building, but you know, forming that curvature, which is actually soft, following the site. And yeah, we tried to show the 3D, how produce some 3Ds, how the building would look like. And this is what I envisaged, you know, on top. Yeah, I'm very fascinated with natural light. As much as this existing building has clear story windows, it does not have much light inside. It does not filter the light. So my gables, that was my ambition, to have the natural light through those clear story windows on top there, and using the material, traditional timber, and the slats as well, to open it up into this outdoor space, you know, curvilinear, and then they can do their craft and then work outside when the weather allows, and then come inside. And then the office, their products were stored in here, and then so that they can be sold away. So the 3Ds were not much. This is one of the drawings that I developed. I mean, tried to get, you know, a cave or a round building, a round shape. I had to do it manually, you know. That time, this was one of my first projects, so it was not that easy to trying to learn to master the software, design and draw, because I only had Monday with me. There was only two of us. So the short elevation is the one that is actually, you know, this is the front side, and then the back side is the middle one, or yeah, the front side, the middle, and then the back one at the bottom. So this is how the building looks. And unfortunately, you know, the municipalities with their budgeting, I was so disappointed when I had to actually close my clerestory windows with wooden leads, you know, but the shape of it and then the basic idea was there, and it was an open building, but I had to sort of reduce the fenestration, the glasses, the windows, you know, because the budget was very tight. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was around 3 million that we had at that time. It's quite a cheap building. It's not very expensive. And this is the old bridge. And then the deck, I actually used the old bridge there just to support the deck. This was supposed to be the restaurant. And then when I left, Wimpy was negotiating to use that space. I don't know if Wimpy used it. Yeah, so that's how the building looks like, and I haven't seen it for a long time. That is the structure, the admin part where they store the complete products, and then that's how it looked, you know, in when it was finished. And it actually blended very well with the existing buildings, because the only thing we had to do was just to actually paint. We used the cementitious painting, you know, those colors, you know, different tones, ethnic colors, and then you can see, and then we actually, the municipality advised whoever was advertising with that big board to remove it. So the big board was removed. And then, yeah, you can see how my new building blended with the old one, as one of my first buildings. You know, I think I didn't do that bad. And then this is the bridge that led, I mean, towards Popo. And then this is how the building looks like sitting on site. This is this river. I've never seen this river clean, but it's got very nice views. I mean, if you're inside here, and then you can see that it was used. I mean, you're looking at the number of the cars that are parking there. So the space is eventually used now. So yeah, that is the end of my first project. Now, coming to the Nelson Mandela Interpretative Center or Museum. So the name of this building changed, I think, 3 times, you know. So as I said, I was very fascinated. I'm fascinated with natural light. I think natural light is actually good. It really livens the space up. I took this because I realized that, you know, a roundabout is usually dark, and if you look at the rural roundabouts, they have got small windows. It's usually dark inside, but it's not that cold because of the material, the natural materials that I used. So this is the site at Mvezo, the yellowish one. The existing Chief Mandla Mandela stays here. That is his homestead, and one of the problems or you know, issues that he did not want, as he did not want this new development to overlook. This part is a little lower, and then he proposed a fence that would actually sort of give him his safety, so that you know, no one overlooks him. And then this, when we got there, these 2 buildings were there already. I think they were still under, yeah, they had been finished already. I think it's backpackers, it's conferencing. I think he's building a city there, a rural town, because he also had, you know, some site development plan. This was site development plan there, where there's that parking, that was going to be a visitor center, and then you actually walk. Only those that could not walk would only drive down to here. So this is what is existing there. We found existing the I think it was done by DPW, Yeah, it displayed like the pictures of Nelson Mandela when he was still growing or young or boxer. You probably have seen these pictures of him. So it's a nice building, very light, open. It had lets on the riverside, looking at that side. This was existing toilets that we found there. So we had to try and use more or less the same language. So this was the attempt. After so many attempts that I made, I thought of a, first world approach. And Mandla is one of the most difficult clients you can ever get. And then he said, you know what, I'm not interested in all what you're talking about, and all I need is my rondavels. I need my rondavels because my homestead is made out of rondavels. Then I had to try and look at the rondavels to try and lift them up a little bit, so that I can have natural light. So this gray, oblong shape is that existing toilet. So I designed around it. And the existing display it's on the left at the bottom there, so it's a little bit far, so I did not have to worry about that as one of the constraints. Then yeah, this I envisaged this because he wanted to document with this. He wanted to document the life of Mandela's family. He said one rondavel was going to be for his grandfather, the other grandfather, and then the other one was going to host or material about the World Cup 2010 and everything that had to do with the family. Each of this rondavel was just going to give a story to that. So this is how, and then it ended up with the amphitheater on top, so that at least, there can be activities there to take place. And then this was sort of an attempt on the side, and to have the green, and then because the site was slopey, so the building had to be stepped. I was unable to get everything on the same platform, which was good. Otherwise, if I did that, it would not have had that kind of a feeling with it. So we had to have parking in front of the entrance, about 2-3 parking, so that when the tourists come, they park and then walk in. And then this was the entrance proposed. And he envisaged this as a space where his grandfather's bust was going to be placed. Or so he insisted that we plant this poles so that there could be creepers that will grow there, and then sort of cover or protect his bust from the weather. That was his idea. And then because of the site, as I said, was slopey, and then the rondavels, we had to, and it's up in the hill, so it's the wind is quite heavy in rural Transkei, so you have to make sure of what you're doing. So we tried to step down the building. This is the main walkway, and then little walkways, in front of these structures on the upper side and then on the lower side as well. So this is how the entrance looked like when finished. So the apex, we used the fiberglass to allow the natural light in. At the bottom there, created plinth, the rural rondavels, the mothers, they do motifs, and then that part is always thicker than the other part, and then the upper part, which in my surprise really subscribe or fits within the classical language of a plinth, and a cornice, you know, and the superstructure and all of that. I don't know whether they were aware in the rural areas when they were doing that. So this is how it turned out, you know, at the end of the day. Yeah, it was not bad, but you know, in the rural area, and then we had to stick to the language that Mandla understand. So we did some quite a lot of details with the polycarbonate on top there to filter the natural light and to create the spaces, you know, where the information is going to be stored, locked. Yeah, and then because of we thought of the channeling, you know, like the stormwater around the building, where we introduced, or we used, the no fines concrete, you know, so that the water that comes through falls down the roof, the thatch, and then it's captured there and then is filtered away from the site, and then some of it will actually help in irrigating or the greenery around. Yeah, it was a lot, but of a struggle, because we were dealing with the client that knew what he wanted. So these were details that were, you know, the top ring, because the weather is always a problem where you have to meet so many the poles that are like 100 millimeter plus in diameter. So we created a steel ring to fix each of them before they fight at the center there. And then that was an opportunity now to start introducing our polycarbonate, which filtered the light very nice. And then this is the amphitheater. Unfortunately, this amphitheater, our engineer, you know, but it's a huge structure, so I understand. So he did not want to use poles, he used the steel. But again, the idea of natural light, you know, it's the one that I always, you know, want to use. And then we created the storage underneath for water. We had water tanks there, storage, and some other goodies to be stored there underneath. So this is the model that we did for his approval, and then he looked at it and then he liked it, and then yeah, so then we started building from this model. So these are the rondavels, and then this is the amphitheater, how we dealt with the natural light, and to try and diffuse the light. That was a polycarbonate. Another polycarbonate, the same material that we've used here, because it's not is not that bright, doesn't allow the sunshine, it only allows the light. So it was very successful, and in that way. This one, yeah, was polycarbonate, this one, and then we decided to paint it. The paint did not come out nicely. You can see, just to try and diffuse it, because the problem with the polycarbonate, it yellows as it grows. I mean, at the time, so we had to use LEDs to diffuse the sunshine, only allow the light inside. And yeah, this is the detail that I would have loved to see it using the wooden poles rather than a steel. But you know what, I'm not an engineer. I could not argue further, and I was still early in my career. Who was I at that time to argue with the engineer? And then inside the theater, the amphitheater, you know, we had these louver doors made out of flats with polycarbonate. They were, you know, we opened them sometimes when there's performance, and then there's the valley, you know, you can see, yeah, while you're inside there. So attempted to actually give a rural experience. So this is how it came out at the end. And then from a distance, I mean, those big structures are those ones that we found they're looking good. Ours is that one. And yeah, this is the village, and then the homestead of Mandla is the one below here. And when we left, and then there were construction beginning and other rondavels at the bottom. I don't know what were those rondavels gonna be. And then we're moving to Ngaleni Library. Ngaleni, it's about 30 to 40 kilometers away from Mthatha. This is the library. We were appointed by Kucha. You know, this was, it's DISRAC, Department of Arts and Culture. The site is in Lebote, in Ngaleni, yeah, in Ngaleni. As you approach the town, I think it's about not far from the town, from here. The town is to that direction, that coming from Mthatha, and then there's RDB houses here. So this is this site, a very tiny site, very small. You know, it was very difficult to fit the building. We had to tilt the building around so that we can fit the building, because we had some norms to actually follow. And having ideas, I thought of a book, because again, then the library, you need natural light to filter natural light, but you cannot allow that light to shine on the books, because the books will fade, and also you must also think about the clay as well. So I thought of a book as a concept, like an open book, and then the base at the bottom there, as you open that is the space for the light, natural light, to come in at a higher level. And then this bubble diagram here is actually the main principle of the library. So we had a supervisor or reception, at the center, and then that person must have views all around. So this is the entrance, and then all of those, the brown is just the circulation into the space, and it ended up with an outdoor reading. So this is the section, and I'm very bold when it comes to concrete gutters, but I don't make them small. I make them big, because they give opportunity, freedom for you to do anything. So on top there, I wanted to, filter in the natural light. They lift my windows higher so that the light can come, but indirect. So in the middle of the building is the reading space, and then the books, the reference library, are under that space there, where the sunshine does not come as directly onto that. So this is the section that came out of that. These are two box gutters that are main into the building, actually also providing a structural element. The building is actually structured around those two elements. Yeah, so this is the layout, how it ended up on site. We had to squeeze everything, because it's not a small building. You have to sort of meet certain standards in a library. So this is how the library turned out. The brownish is actually the circulation, and then the reading area for the adults, and then the kids that side, and then the outdoor reading, and then the meeting space there, the boardroom, the toilets, that side, and then the computer. Computers there in that areas where they can use computer or reference. These days they're using computer, not everything is in the book. So this is how it looked inside. The light that came in, again got so disappointed here, because the the idea was to come up with a building that is cladded with zinc or metal, so that knowing the municipalities and the government buildings are not really well looked after. So I wanted to sort of minimize that, but the idea was to clad the building all around. This is how the building, I mean, this is the roof. Actually, the green are the concrete gutters, as I said. Everything flows into there. There's no issue, and then you can walk there. You can sweep, go in and sweep, and we've used the system that sucks the it's called Gibret system, so that it sucks the water out quickly, so that it doesn't flood. So that's how the building looked like at the end. And then you can see it's cladded in front only, unfortunately. The back is not cladded because they ran out of budget. So it was very sad to see, and I'm still like talking to them to actually clad the building at the back as well and on the side. So hopefully one day it will be cladded all around. Yeah, so yeah, this is trying to, as I said, the idea of a book that is very like straight line, and then opening up, the books, and then where you open up, then you allow the light into, and then this is the drone. We just had a drone. We bought a drone in the office, so we were learning. So you can see that we were not that good with the drone, but it was dark. It was getting late when we got there. So this is how the pictures turned out to be. So we will learn. So this is the 3D version or perspective of the library. Yeah, it came close, but I wish it was all cladded around. Then Luzerdrift Primary School in Manfletcher, 55 kilometers away from Maclear. It's about 20 on towards the Manfletcher side. So again, it's a nice village. There's a mountain behind it, and I wished to have used the stones, but it would take 2 to 3 years to actually do that. When I suggested that to ASIDI, this is one of ASIDI projects, and then they said no, then it won't be. They have to finish on certain time, and ASIDI program is going to finish. Let's use normal material that can easily be used. And we worked with Marty, architect in Lady Grey, and then yeah, you can see that she was very fascinated with these rural roundabouts, which are now cladded. When the thatch ages, what they do in the rural areas, they start covering it with zinc. So incorporated this typology into the school, and then I think it came out very well. I mean, yes, it's a big structure, but at least it's broken into pieces so that it fits well into the context. So this one, yeah, is still the same. Then the school, let me just move this thing to the side. This is blocking me. All right, yeah, so this is how because the school site is there on top there. There's a graveyard below, so we could not use the existing school site. By the way, this is the program revitalization program, where they call them mega schools, combined schools. I think they combined 5 schools here in the nearby. And then the first phase was to build the classrooms, and the second phase is to build hostels. So we are finishing off the first phase now. So we have also started with the second phase in terms of the design. I think we will probably go out to tender early next year for the second phase. So this is the site development plan. The gray area is what we built, what you saw there at the moment, and again at the foot of the mountain. So we had to follow the contour. Yeah, and there's a misalignment there. My fellow architects sort of liked that misalignment, but it's fine. You know, each and every one of us have to contribute. So the new part now, which is like your hostels, is the red buildings. My buildings are the long buildings. Her buildings are the shorter ones, and I'm doing the DNC and the laundry. Yeah, we tried to separate the pedestrians from the cars, so hence you have that S-shape winding road, and then the kids can just go straight, separate, and then minimize the contact with the cars. So basically that is the SDP. So of course, sometimes when you move into the, you know, when you start design, I start everywhere because I always think about the sunlight, the natural light. So this is looking at the content. The site is actually very steep and it's tight. There are some environmental issues. We have an environmentalist there, you know, so that made things even worse. And then I took the contour as a concept, then, you know, sort of sliced or placed the buildings, the block, you know, along the contour, but I had to break it so that it becomes flexible. But what is important, I did not want to make the buildings wider, because if the buildings are wider, you know, you end up with high roofs. And this is a snowy area in Mount Fletcher. You have to have a minimum pitch roof of about 28 degrees. So we, you know, once you have wider buildings, and then you're gonna have too high roofs. And then I broke this block into three, you know, places. And then because I also wanted to incorporate the greenery, and then I took out some blocks, and then I took out those blocks, then I created green spaces in between, so that those spaces can actually flow into the inside. Of course, we actually want them to take them physically inside, but that is the detail that we're still thinking about. You know, it's hostels. It's gonna host about 300 kids, primary kids. So it's a double story. Then you have the entrance point at number 1, and then the main, you know, corridor or access circulation, and then you have pause areas in between, and then that is the area where we start breaking the building, and then trying to introduce the clerestory lights on the sides of those structures. So this is the roof plan, how we now started you know, beginning to pull this thing apart and then introduce green spaces. And then that's where the dormitories are. And then this is the mother sitting just to supervise them. This is the layout. So you come through here, and then this is the reception, and then this is the side is recreational. Then we introduced another green space there that will spill over, the recreational space will spill over into that green space outside. And then these are the dormitories to try and you know, spread them long. That is why I did not want to make it wider, because it would have created high pitch roofs. So yeah, so using the natural light again in the gable ends, you know, so that the kids can really enjoy the space, and they are young, you know, it's the time age of load shedding. Yeah, I don't know whether it's going to come back again, but when we design, I think we must design for passive energy. I think natural light is always good, and also it's very good for the young kids. This is just a normal building, nothing fancy about it, but on the side, on the cable ends, we're introducing natural light. Then the DNC, the dining, yeah, this is one of the buildings, this building, if you've been involved in our city schools, it's a huge building because it's wide because of the spaces that you have to allow. And then being in Mount Fletcher, minimum roof 28 degrees, then you're gonna end up with a 7-meter tall roof space. Then you have to start doing something. So this is what I'm talking about. This is how, the width of the building is about 25 meters. And then if you use your pitch, it's gonna be 6.5, tall roof. And then you can actually have another rooms there. And then what we've done, we started pulling this apart, these roofs apart, and then start introducing clear story windows so that we can harvest the natural light. And then because we are catering for 200 kids, then we had an opportunity to introduce a mezzanine floor so that the other kids can actually sit in the mezzanine floor. So this is how the layout is. As I said, these are the store, dry store, and then the cooking area, and then the prep area and the cooking area at the center. Now it has to flow, and then this is the dining, the side, and then this is the your change rooms for the staff, and then must come from separate entrance than the main entrance. And then this is a quarantine area. When they deliver food, then it gets sorted out there, and then come into the storage, and then into the cold rooms. Then this is the mezzanine. I think it gives us an opportunity to actually place offices, dietitians, the supervisors there at that level. So this is how the building looks, will look actually, because it's still the design stage. Started pulling it apart, introducing those clear story lights in windows instead of having one big roof that is 6-meter tall. So we also have a chapel there, small Lanyana chapel, not that big, for the school to engage in some religion. And also this, I think this will also be used by the community as well. It's not a big one, it's a small one, but again, it was an opportunity to try and use the church as a landmark, because that is the tallest building now because of the clock tower that we introduced there. And also to try again to use a lot of natural light. Unfortunately, we have to use concrete and the steel combination, concrete frames or steel frames, or combination of the two. This is the Dumezweni School. This school has just been opened about 3 weeks ago. Again, one of the mega schools that combines about 8 schools. It is a school in, it's just, I think the school location is Tomo, Namakwe. I think it's the location is there. It's very rural, and it's difficult to actually go to that site. So we combined apha Nqolosa, Nolusapho, Mpikwana, Sajini, Nonkubela, Sonkosi, Caba, Dumezweni. That's where they all met in Dumezweni. But later the name Dumezweni was changed to a new name because the school had to be neutral. And then Lupomo, Kwili, Lubomvini. So that's what yeah, it's called mega school. So the site, the school was existing. It had some existing ablutions, admin, classrooms, and then we had to sort of work with what is there. This was our first attempt. This is the SDP that was approved, and then we had the hall right there, where, because again we were following the side contours, and then you enter there. There's a guard house as you come in, you park there. This is the admin in the middle, and then this is the grade R, because grade R must come in and go without mixing with the rest of the school, because these are young children, so they have to be there at the entrance. So when the mom's coming to collect their kids, so there's no interaction with the elder kids as well. So the admin was strategically positioned there to oversee everything. This is the DNC behind it, and then the classrooms. And then because the site is tight, we use each and every opportunity, use courtyards to actually provide assembly areas and for netball courts. So those are the spaces that we use. But unfortunately, we had a problem with the school. The neighbors at the bottom, one of the neighbors is so difficult. And then he complained about the toilets, that the toilets are going to create problems for him. We must move those toilets. So we ended up with this. We had to change the design now. We ended up, so these toilets moved to the back. Yeah. This is the layout that it's not very difficult, because not far different from that one. We moved the hall, the school hall, from where the amphitheater is, and then we positioned it there so that though it was still accessible from the public without the public, entering into private spaces of school. So the admin, because the admin was there, it was there, still there in that position, in front of everything. So it's in a public space, semi-public. So people are not invited into the schools. These schools are actually used by the community, particularly the halls. So they have to be positioned in a public space so that they can access easily. This is how the school looked like 3 weeks ago. The opening was there. The minister, Mr. Kade, was there opening the school. It was a big occasion. We ate a lot of meat. I think there are farms around. Yeah, so the farmers donated 2 buffaloes. 2 buffaloes were slaughtered there, and it was enjoyable. It was a nice day. So that's how this is at the bottom there on top there. That's where the hostels will go. Yeah, right now the province and then the national department, DBE, they are still deciding who's going to be responsible, the province or the national. So, but the site has been chosen to actually, that area where they've parked that car is going to be a sports field for now, and then the hostels will be developed there. Below here, there's homestead. That green roofed homestead is owned by the gentleman who is giving us hard time now, because we had to move the toilets to the back. Now he claims that he was driving around the site, the toilets were here actually. So he claims that where we've positioned those toilets again, now we've positioned them on his road. So now we have to build a new road for him. So it's difficult to deal with them. So this is the Nelson Mandela Science School. We did the school with Ado Architects in Pretoria. It was funded by Siemens. Yeah, so for Mandela, Mandla Mandela, in Mvezo. So yeah, you can see that the area is between Aitutua and Elliot Day. That's where the site is at the moment. But in Mvezo, for those who did go to Mvezo. So this is the layout, and again, we had to follow the contours. We had to be sensitive of the orientation north as well. So that red dot is actually the Rondavel, which it was a old Rondavel, and then we had to keep. Now is used as a guardhouse there. So we try to keep it, and then you pack. And then this is the school that, because it's far from the urban area, so we also designed the accommodation for teachers. Yeah, so this is the admin staff, the hall, again, to be placed near the entrance so that the community can use it without going into private space. And then this is the resource center, that L-shaped building. It's quite a steep site, again, in the rural area, so we had to navigate the space, and then the sports field at the bottom. So this is how, this was just a 3D model to sort of develop after we had crystallized the idea and the concept, and then we developed these 3Ds, and then this is how it looks in reality. And then we've got a Freedom Tree, which was planted there by Mandla Mandela, and there's a bust there of his grandfather there at the moment. So this is the model. We went to a model making place because we had to show Siemens, the big guys abroad flew in, and we had to show them how is this building going to look like physically. And of course, after we've done those models. So we also incorporated some farming. I don't know whether the farming is happening at the moment, but as I said, on your left there, these are teacher quarters accommodation. They stay there because Mandla told them that he wants them to stay there so that they can focus on kids instead of rushing for transport and end up wasting time and spending too much time on traveling rather than on teaching the kids. Again, the site is very difficult, so we had to sort of navigate lots of ramps on the side. This is Gofimvaba. I think, if I'm not mistaken, is my last. We did the school in Gofimvaba. It's right at the entrance of Gofimvaba. On your left, when you're going towards Queenstown, coming from Amtata. So this is the Gofimvaba area. This is Komani, which is Queenstown, and then Mthatha is just in between those two areas. You've got Aitutua, you've got Butterworth, you've got East London. It's right there in the middle of the Bundus. It's a rural town again. So this is the site, as I said, the municipalities in Tsekaye 2, going to Mthatha and then going to Queenstown is right at the entrance of the town. There's an opportunity to really trigger or energize that stretch of the road as you come into the school, and then becomes a gateway into the town. So the building on the left, on the right here, was sponsored or by CSIR. I think it's a science school. So again, looking at the contours and also the shape of the site, tight, very tight. Again, trying to fit everything trying to sort of introduce some greenery as well. So because unfortunately our courtyards cannot be green because they are used for kids to play, either the netball or whatever sport they can play. And then we had to put the parking there again. This is the hall. It's more like a multi-purpose hall. Sport can be played there. It's a big fight that I had to put up because you know, I was told that I must design a normal hall, and when I asked them what a conventional hall, and I asked them, what can you give me a description of what a conventional hall is? So they said a smaller hall, and I said no, that is not a conventional, but we must design a wall that will be usable, functional for the school, because we were designing for 770 kids, which after usually the school as soon as we finish the school grows, because all the kids in the rural areas want to go to a new school. So this is the main courtyard. Everything is designed around the courtyard, and then that is the ramp. We had to provide a ramp so that you know, is accessible to the disabled people from the ground to the first floor. So this is the layout. This is the admin, and then these are the special schools, special classrooms, your science, your computer labs, and then ablutions, and then just the toilets with the storerooms and HODs in the corners there, and again the sports courtyard. We use the courtyard for sporting. And then this is a big win for the area, because the hall turns out to be the meeting place for the whole Amatola region now. When there's a workshop, they meet in that hall, and I really forced a situation in there. And then this hall is hired by the community for weddings, as churches on Sunday, you know, everything. So the school is now making money. So because of this infrastructure, you know, that is put up there. It's just the elevations. So this is how the school look like. And then there's again a mountain behind. We had a serious problem. You know, during the construction, there's a tank there on top, and then that tank burst, and then it actually flooded the site, and then we had to wait for 2 weeks during the construction. So this is how the courtyard, and then unfortunately it has to be tried because the kids have to play in. And then again, you know, opted for the use of the membrane so that there's less maintenance in the school, because I know for a fact that the government will go there after 30 or 40 years. In fact, government won't come back. So if we can try and use materials that are less maintainable, that is why we use a lot of face brick than plaster. This is the wall, that wall that I was showing you. It's a huge wall. It's got the gallery on the right, and then the terrace sitting on the left, and then using a lot of natural light. Must say I had problems with the engineer here who was not qualified as an engineer. And yeah, we ended up firing that engineer because he was not doing his job. And then this is the hall. This hall is actually used by the whole region. They sitting there. I mean, it's got the terrace on the left, and then the gallery on the right, and then the floor is actually the spongy floor that allows the spot just to cushion. So at the moment, what we're doing, because the government does not have money, so the current principal, you know, approached me to sort of develop a master plan for the hostels. Now he's looking for the funding. We're busy looking for the funding, and again, at an urban level, because this is the entry to the town, so this is the opportunity to have some kind of a retail, your laundry, retail, maintenance buildings can be used there, and then open up into the street, creating the urban edge there. And then number 2, it's the admin, and then number 3, the dining and nutrition, because this is the existing, and then this is that SAIA Science Center, and then this shape is like a future. Definitely the school is going to grow because the school is performing very well. I think their pass rate, last time I checked, it was 95%. So they really need hostels. And what they do during matric, the kids actually use the hall. They stay here for 2 weeks. They use the hall, hence they are desperate to actually get hostels. So, what started like a small building, now it can actually become a serious catalyst for the development of the small municipality like Gothenburg. So yeah, these are the ones that I'll just go through. This is the one that we did in Umtata. This is a package. We had to use some mural to make it look interesting. Otherwise, it's just an ordinary, package with concrete only. We're not even allowed to introduce the steel facade. Those facades that can hide the concrete. So we were not allowed. So this is one of our this is now in the urban area. One of our project, one of our first project, East London IDZ container yard. Yeah, is actually I enjoyed this project. The engineering part of it was also good. So this is how it looks. I think when we took this photo, there were no drones at that time, so you had to hire a helicopter to get that shot. But these days we have drones. You can easily get that shot at any time. It's actually filled now, full with containers. And I wanted to actually didn't have time to go and take pictures when it's in full operation. So this is the school in Cape Town, in Township. Now we did it. This is the wall, the entrance. Yeah, it's I'm just gonna run through the project because I realize that I've got so much projects that I need to talk about, but I won't bore you for another week. This is the Lumco. It's here in East London, in Amalinda. The school migrated from Duncan Village into Amalinda. So yeah, this is the wall. So this is the school, and it's current. Yeah, this is the end. That's me so far. Thank you very much for having me and for making me think and look back to what I've done. And I think I'm going to take it upon myself to start documenting what I've done. Thank you very much.
Charles, thank you so much. I think as architects, I think we sometimes don't realize how much we've been through or gone through till we actually have to start looking at putting it together. Thank you so much for informing us and just sharing your journey. I see you work a lot in schools.
Yes.
And I know that the schools generally, I've done a few myself, they have their standard things and all that, but they are all very unique and different.
Yeah.
What would you say you've learned in providing infrastructure for schools for the different environments that you've been working on?
Yeah, I think what is important is to understand that I remember, I mean, our first schools, I think I must have done more than 200 schools, starting from the small ones. These are just the big ones that I'm showing you. What I've noticed is that when there is the so-called PWD public works specifications that you have to use, I mean the materials that are specified, I know the public works insist that it's a neutral a specification, but it's not really that neutral, because the use of fiber cement, you know, batch boards that are those L-shaped ones, you know, that after, when you come back, you know, like you hand over the school, when you come back after 3 months, that you know, budget is already broken and blown away. The use of long arms into you know, rainwater tanks. So I stopped that. So my rainwater tanks go, the downpipes go straight, so that I don't have those elbows, because after a while those elbows broke, and then gets you know, the water doesn't go inside within a year. So I make sure that the downpipes are going straight to the tanks. And also, you know, because that specification talks a lot about grano, you know, your walkways, you know, you have to use grano. And after a while, I mean, the grano gets, you know, delaminate, I mean, concrete delaminates. And then what we've done, if I can go back maybe to, just to show you, yeah. So our schools, yeah, most of the time, yeah, there we go. Yeah, most of the time we use, I mean, even in the walkways, we use pavers, because pavers are very strong. And also, as I said, the use of this barge board, the fascia, instead of the one that is R-shaped, because when you come back, it's gonna be gone. It's because that thing is wobbly, and it doesn't, you cannot fix it correct, you cannot fix it right. It's gonna go away. And then the use of straight gutters, instead of those gutters that are winding around, looking for the tanks around the corners, and then the elbows disappear, and then the water does not go into the tanks. To try, I know it's you know, it's face break, but I think we try and introduce some kind of you know, some color as a little of them, but we try to use the less maintainable, because all the materials are maintainable. Unfortunately, the less maintainable materials as much as we can. So that's what I've learned. And also running away from, you know, the posts and the timber beam on top, laminated timber beam. That thing does not last. So we're using
It always looks like a good idea for an architect.
yeah, so we're using the I sections that will last longer, and we don't paint them. We galvanize them and leave them natural. I mean, even the as you can see here, the balustrade, we try and leave the materials close to their natural state, so that they are less maintainable. Yeah.
The interesting part for me, so I'll open the floor now. Some of the members may ask you questions. Colleagues, you may just raise your hand if you'd like to have a chat with Charles. One of the things I've noticed on the Siemens school with the accommodation there, is it a family size, so to speak?
Yes, we provided I think, yeah, it's a family size kind of, because we did not want to throw so many there. Yeah, it's a family size.
Yeah, this one, yeah.
Yeah, it's a family size. I think you host about 2 teachers per block. Yeah,
Okay.
so they share some of them are shared, some of them, like your principal, you know, they stay with their family full time. Half of them, I think I think there were 2 of them, principal and a vice principal, I actually owned all of them, so that they can stay with their family there, so that they can pay attention to the school. And yeah, the others are shared by the young teachers.
Okay, thank you. Colleagues, if you would like to interact, ask a question, a comment. You may. While I wait, Charles, because you. Oh, okay. Let me let Monique speak, and then Dumisani, and then I'll come after. Monique, please.
Hi, Charles.
Hello, Monique.
For this, I commend you on a number of things. Number one, that you start with the hand and the pen and the paper,
Yes.
and you see that coming through. I really feel very strongly that is how creativity and the way the brain functions the best and the most fluidly is when you've got the pen in the hand with the paper rather than jump straight into the computer. So that's the first, just a slight aside. And secondly, I just really, really commend you for your commitment to rural development, especially schools. We've had some opportunity to inspect some of these schools, and I know my colleague Mandisa has as well, and it's beyond shocking. I mean, we've gone away from some of these schools feeling quite ill at the conditions that these learners are expected to function under, never mind the teachers.
Yeah.
But I do want to say just what and the high level of design that you bring to them. And as a slight aside, I've been to your hometown, Nduku.
Yes.
Raided
Yes.
the rhino cash and carry there.
Oh, all right.
Is one of the towns where you mustn't blink when you're driving through.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
So your school near Mount Fletcher,
Yes.
it's one of those what do they call serendipitous moments when you showed that, because I know of that school.
Yes.
Husband, who's been married to an architect for over 30 years, is he's very drilled that when
Yes.
the wife screeches stop, then he
Yeah.
must come hold. I hop out and I start taking photos.
Yes.
So
That's
when
one.
we
Yeah.
went up to Nordia's Neck,
Yeah.
Mount Fletcher, I passed as we were driving past, and I know this area well because we often go this route, and I
Yes.
spotted these buildings in the distance, and there was a screech of stop, and we stopped, and I was out there with my camera zooming in as much as I could. I was
Yes.
so thrilled to see a development of that caliber in that region
Yes.
that desperately
Yeah.
needs it. So well done.
Yeah. No, thank you very much, Monique. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Monique. Yeah, Charles, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you see now what I've noticed is there is a high demand. I mean, for hostels accommodation. I think the current MEC of Education, Mr. Gade in Eastern Cape, he really is committed to improve the results. And one of the things that whenever he goes and open the school, he talks about the curriculum and also how the infrastructure can support the curriculum. And at the moment, there is a fight or disjuncture between the curriculum and an infrastructure, because those that are sitting at public works, I'm not taking a swipe at public works, because there are a few individuals there who really implore us to earn our fees by design. There are those ones who say, use a standard drawing, and I don't use a standard drawing. I use a standard drawing as a guide, but I look at the site and assess the site and I respond to the site. And sometimes I'm surprised when the facility is finished and the way the space fills the outdoor, because I'm an outdoor person, kind of. I'm not an indoor person. So my interaction with the outdoor space is very special, and it's something that I always think about, is at the back of my mind. So that when a child walks into the school, really, they must feel at home. They must enjoy that space, and I wish I could do more than what I'm doing at the moment, because when we submit our designs to the architects that have to approve our drawings, that is something that I always complain about, to say sometimes they hold us back, because they saying they are architects, and then we can't do this, we can't do that. But here in Eastern Cape, what is most difficult is that Eastern Cape is led by quantity surveyors. There's more quantity surveyors in the Department of Public Works and everything. Once you come up with a unusual design, and they said this is going to be expensive, they don't even sort of try and understand. I remember, if I can go to Lumko, I remember the Lumko school where we got challenged by the department to say how we must use the so-called conventional roofs. And I asked, what is a conventional roof, like your double pitch and or gable, and the gable end is even better, but the hip roof, yeah. So when we did this roof, it's a mono pitch, and then we were trying to bring the natural light at that level and sort of set the building back so that we can even filter the light to the ground floor, because it's easy to do that with the first floor, but the ground floor. And then we were taken to task to say this roof is going to be, I'm not a quantity surveyor, but I mean a mono pitch roof. How can a mono pitch roof be expensive than a hipped roof? And also in terms of the safety, how the seamlessness of the mono pitch, the seams that we have to introduce in hip roofs, it's not good for the future of the school in terms of the maintenance. Within no time, those seams are a weakness area for roof leaks and stuff like that. So what I'm saying is, we have that challenge that we have to subject ourselves to the approval by other architects, and sometimes they get so too much involved in our designs and then end up reducing your design, but because you've been fighting, but at the same time, now the time is coming to an end, then you have to go ahead and you end up settling lesser than what you wanted to in terms of your design. So because this is the space where really the kids stay there the whole day, and then we need to provide kids. We cannot only design the classrooms, because they said, no, right now we are providing only classrooms. Can we just stick to the classrooms? Don't tell us about the courtyards, don't tell us about the spaces outside. So that's where we actually losing it. And I think it is the area that we need to really challenge as architects. Thank you.
No, thanks a lot, Charles. I think I'm just going to, because of time, I'm just going to ask one more question, which I think is critical, and then we will adjourn. But there is colleagues. I'd just like to the other hat that Charles wears is SAIA president. As a region, we have a very, very close relationship with SAIA, professional one. So please, when there are questions, direct them to Kiara. We know exactly how to address all issues. That is why people are members of SAIA KZN. The benefit is that you may be assisted in your queries, and I do think that the Fifth and the Sixth Term Council has been very open in that, if you engage the institute to assist. Okay, Mike, I will allow you to come in.
Thanks, Guru. Just Charles, thanks so much. Really very inspiring. I don't know how you managed to keep away from Eastern Cape. I mean, nobody ever would want to leave Eastern Cape. Just this whole discussion we're having about costs and public works and people we're very lucky to be working with people who know everything. We seem to forget that. But what they seem to forget is that we are creating places and spaces
Yes.
and memories and images and everything.
Yeah.
And these facilities are going to be around for between 50 to 100 years. I mean, at very least. So the cost and all that sort of thing in terms of the space and the place that's created, you can't mix the two. So well done for challenging the norm and going the extra distance. Really great.
No, thank you very much, Mike. Thank you. I've had big fights, to an extent that when we were introduced to these, whenever they update the design norms, you look at those, we get issued those buildings, and I said, I was there 15 years ago. There's no way that I'm going to go back, because I know for a fact that ceiling height cannot be this. I cannot finish my walkways with concrete, because it's going to delaminate. Because those kids, it's rural, they're going to walk on the dust and then walk on the concrete. Within no time, when you go there, it delaminates. So hence, I've insisted on the pavers, and then doing away with certain materials and introduce certain materials as well. No, thank you very much for that. And then it's a fight for all of us, because that is the space, really. These kids, I wish, yes, architects are trying, because we never had opportunity in the rural areas to study in the schools that are even closer to what they are being designed now. Yes, we need to push the envelope, but at least architects are doing something, and then something that we need, because I overheard, I'm not going to mention the implementing agent, that now there are big discussions on the standardization of the schools, and then probably to try and cut out architects. And then that is something that we need to fight. We must really fight that one. Thank you.
Absolutely. Charles, there's just a bigger fight in South Africa in general, in making sure that architects remain relevant. And we actually just need to have, as VAs, SAICAP, and other bodies, actually just sit down and look at that and look at the sustainability of our profession. The one main pointer that shows us that we are dwindling is our fees. It's a crisis at the moment. The government, when they say built environment, they think engineer, QS as well, and they just see us as an additional extra. So that debate has to go ahead. But the one key thing I wanted to ask Charles is, since you are not many architects in your space, which is particularly political. The former Deputy Minister of Public Works, Nokolo Kivit, at one of the conferences by SAICAP, she was in term 2019 to 2023, I think. She said the most difficult thing for us is to spend. It's not like we don't have money as government. I do know that we have challenges in some projects where budget and financial year, etc. But mostly we have a problem of not being able to spend. What do you think would be, as a country, what do you think should be our approach, or how should we tackle the situation? Because red tape does not actually stop corruption, really. But it stops development.
No, you see, particularly here in Eastern Cape, they wait for the money to come. For an example, the school that are the Lucid Drift, the one that I've shown you, where we are busy with hostels now. I know they are getting the shock of their life when we submit estimates. I think we just finished a hostel for special school in Amtata in Mbuka Park. I didn't show it. It's that we were providing for 80 kids, and then the cost for that hostel is close to it's at about 150 million, 150. So these ones we are actually providing for 300 kids. You're looking at about 300 million. And they don't believe it, you know. If really they seem to have, how can I say, not been aware that it will cost so much. But where the problem is in the planning. You cannot only plan when you get the money, you know. So the money, they're not separating the planning and the implementation, and they have companies that are advising them getting money year in, year out, but it's still the same problem. The money goes back. I mean, even after COVID, you know, the money was taken back. Why? Because they are not planning, plan to the stage 4, get the document ready, pay the consultants or architects and put it there. And when you get the money, you know, for an example, the hostels that we are doing now, the idea is to finish documentation and everything by March, so that the estimates are there informing the budget that will be approved by March. And then when that budget gets approved, we are ready to break the ground. So the same mistake they're doing it year in, year, and I've been raising my hand and said, guys, can I do it for you? If you are worried about payment, I just want to prove it to you that this thing is not that difficult. You need to separate planning and then the implementation, because you plan and leave the, I mean, our fees are not that expensive compared to a school like the schools that we're doing now. There's hostels in the range of 300 million. The fees there are in the range of 45 million. So if you can just budget for which is like 75% of that, and then the planning is done, documented, ready to go out to tender. So when you receive money, you go out to tender, and you receive money in line with the estimates that have been provided by the professionals. So you're not going to overestimate or underestimate. They just, you know, ask for money that is not linked to what they want to roll out in the infrastructure. I don't know if I'm giving the correct answer.
No, absolutely. We don't plan ahead.
No.
We don't plan ahead. Yeah. It's a problem. Charles, thank you so much for your time. We have gone over. But thank you so much for sharing your experience. I've learned a lot. I work in schools as well. So thank you so much for making time for us.
No, thank you very much, Skura and Kiara, you know, for getting in touch, for making me think serious and look back where I come from. And I've always here in the book, I mean, in the office, told the guy, I said, hey, you know, like when I come across the sketches, you know, some of them, you know, disappeared. And we had a problem, by the way. We were hit by a big virus, where I can't remember that virus, but it chowed all our folders and some of the drawings that we lost, because each and every sketch that I have, in fact, I have sketches that are scanned and put there, but I lost all of that information. Others, thank you very much for this invite, and at least this was a challenge. Now I'm challenging myself now because of the opportunity that you've given me. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks a lot.